Kids always want to learn how to do the SpongeBob laugh, and I always tell them it is a 3-step easy process. Step 1, make a noise like a smoke detector low on batteries. And while you're doing that, you just move your hand up and down on your neck and rattle it around, you know. They love it.
Animation of any kind is far more work than you'd expect. Cartoon episodes may only last 11 or 22 minutes long, but there's almost always a massive team behind it that cover the bases for pretty much any possible thing you can think of. Just one of many pieces of the puzzle is voice acting, which ultimately brings life into what's happening on screen. Characters can be represented in more ways than just dialogue, but there's a pretty good chance you think of them that way first and foremost. If I say something like Scooby-Doo, you almost hear his voice in your head. It's an essential part to making things more exciting and turning these fictional entities into someone we can actually listen to. Now, if I say the word SpongeBob, a ton of different things will go through your head. However, at the center of this iconic character is his voice. Sure, some people don't think about it much and just shrug it off as any other wacky, cartoony kind of voice, but I think SpongeBob is a much bigger deal than that. The way he talks feels so unique and unlike anything we've seen before. How he interacts with the world makes the show feel even more fun to watch. Still, what is the real secret behind the perfection of SpongeBob's voice? In order to figure out all the answers, we're gonna have to go back in time to a completely different cartoon. Welcome to Rocko's Modern Life. Say what you want about the actual show itself, because that doesn't really matter too much for the context of this video. While on the surface, this doesn't have a crazy impact on Nickelodeon, here's the truth. Without Rocko, we either wouldn't have Spongebob Squarepants, or the show would be much different today. You see, hanging out on the Rocko's crew were some big names like Mr. Lawrence, Tim Hill, Derek Dryman, and more, who would eventually go on to have major roles in SpongeBob. Not only that, but Stephen Hillenburg himself helped out in any possible way he can.
This is Heifer. If Heifer is like, here's Heifer, and then you can animate like this. Heifer. Let's see. Oh God.
Tom Kenny, who we now know as SpongeBob's beloved voice, played Heifer in this show. It was where the two guys first met, and little did anyone know just how important this confrontation would be. Rocko's Modern Life couldn't last forever, so when it ended up getting cancelled, Hillenburg decided to take matters into his own hands. To share his love for marine biology, he wanted to make his own cartoon, and he took Tom Kenny along for the ride. These two became great friends over the years, and Rocko is where all of that began.
I love you, brother.
But that brings us to a question. How exactly did Hillenburg know who to get for the voice of his main character? Well, there was a certain high-pitched voice that Kenny decided to do for a side character on the show. Apparently, Hillenburg loved it. When it came time to cast for SpongeBob, it was clear from the beginning that Kenny would take the spot. Here's what he had to say about the situation. I guess what was most atypical about SpongeBob was that when Steve heard me do the voice, he said, "That's it. I don't want to hear anybody else do the voice. We've got SpongeBob." He said that to Nickelodeon. The network takes so long with casting, they're not sure of themselves. Well, let's just listen to 100 more people. It's just a grueling process that takes forever. But one of the advantages of having a strong creator is that the creator can say, "No, I like that. I don't care about celebrities." One of the things networks always try to push is getting celebrities. But Steve had no interest in that, and let them know that in no uncertain terms. Now, when Hillenburg was developing the very world of SpongeBob SquarePants and all the characters that reside within Bikini Bottom, it's safe to say that he had a vision in his head. There were more than a few other things that had to be done, of course, but the voice of your main character is pretty high up there on what you need to get right. The wrong voice actor can steer everything away and turn a character into something you really didn't want. Tom Kenny was exactly what Hillenburg was looking for. So alright, we have some background behind why this legend of a voice actor was selected for one of the biggest animated roles, but there's still a question. How did Kenny think of the voice in the first place? Turns out, we have an official answer from the man himself.
And so we went into this audition, but they were auditioning for a holiday seasonal Christmas commercial in the same studio, the next door over. And there were, so there were a bunch of Santa Claus guys, and there were also elves, little people. Probably would have called them midgets back in less politically correct times. And they had their outfits. They got the curly shoes. They're all hanging out, just all bummed out, like sitting in chairs, folding chairs in the hallway. And there was one midget that was so bitter and so foul mouth. So I overheard this guy, and he had this great voice, and he was going, he's going, let me tell you, he's talking to a fellow low person. Let me tell you, if it was, he's down here, if it wasn't for the blankety blank Christmas blank, I wouldn't blanking work. I told Steve Hillenburg that story, the creator of SpongeBob, long before he came up with SpongeBob, and then I totally forgot about it. And years later, Steve was telling me about this animated show he had, and he said, I think I have you in mind for the voice. Do you remember that voice you did about like the bitter little elf guy at the Christmas commercial audition? And I had to think back a little, and I go, yes, I totally forgot about that story. But yeah, so an angry little person is the reason that I got employed as SpongeBob.
One of the most unique things about SpongeBob as a character is that he has more than a few different voices and ranges that almost feel like they come from entirely different people. Just to give you an example, sometimes he'll be talking in his normal, high-pitched voice anyone can recognize, but what about his epic voice? He'll be talking like this as he gets determined and feels like he can do anything. Now, it doesn't matter where the range of SpongeBob goes, because Tom Kenny is always there to put his heart and soul into the character. Let me be clear, this dude is an absolute legend. He manages to bring a very distinctive voice to the table, and it's hard to find others who can reach anywhere close to his level. The man is dedicated. He knew exactly what Hillenburg wanted to see, and yeah, everyone still loves his voice 20 years later. So many things throughout the series of SpongeBob have changed, but one that remains the same time and time again is the jaw-dropping performance of the lovable Sponge himself. Kenny gives it his all no matter what, and I think that deserves a lot of respect. Season 10's Mimic Madness goes above and beyond to show us just how talented this man is, and we need to talk about it right now. In the episode, SpongeBob starts copying people both in appearance and voice, but it eventually goes much farther than it should. Over the course of the storyline, you'll realize he goes through just about every emotion he possibly could. He takes on the role of beloved characters we've been following since the start of the show, but here's the thing. It's all in SpongeBob's perspective. Just imagine the challenge this would be for any typical voice actor. You're not only playing a role, you still have to make sure it's SpongeBob doing all these voices, while at the same time making him impersonate everyone else. This is not easy, but it feels like a walk in the park when the man behind it is Tom Kenny. Now at one point in Mimic Madness, SpongeBob is lost and doesn't know who he really is. He sings a song asking the simple question, who am I? While transforming into other characters and taking on their voices, all of this taking place in about a minute.
Who am I? I have a right to know. Who am I? Am I friend or foe?
But what's even more special about all this is that it is 100% believable for a character like SpongeBob. The show has established that he has more than a few different voices of his own, so it fits within his identity to do all this. Purely from a perspective of voice acting, I think this episode is one of the best in the series. If you find someone who has zero idea what SpongeBob even is, show them this episode, and they're gonna get a pretty good sense of his character. His voice is at the heart of everything. It brings so much life into this series of rapidly moving 2D images. Without Tom Kenny, there would be no SpongeBob.
We kind of fine-tuned it from there so that it wasn't just a squeaky voice, so that there were highs and lows, and there was a thing that he did where he was trying to be cool and hey baby, you know, and then when he was scared his voice would go up higher. And
SpongeBob is this kind of squeaky clean, small, impish character, and so I was looking for that sort of voice.
So at the end of all this, what's the real secret behind SpongeBob's voice? Well, it's the incredible duo Stephen Hillenburg and Tom Kenny. When they met on Rocko's Modern Life, the SpongeBob series creator knew that his main character would spread positivity everywhere he went. This main character would clearly need a voice to reflect that idea, and his buddy accomplished all of that and more. Thanks to the effort of these two legends, SpongeBob doesn't just feel like a random drawing to look at. Instead, he's full of life and personality. He genuinely seems like a being who exists within our world, who can always brighten our mood, and it's the voice casting that led to that. Thanks to this fateful encounter in the 90s, SpongeBob has brought smiles to countless people around the world. But anyway, that's all for this video. Subscribe for more awesome cartoon videos. Give a thumbs up and comment below, let me know what you think. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.